Okay, we are recording. Yep, we are good to go. So you good, Ronnie? You want me to take over now?
Yes, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be chiming in whenever I need to, but I'm going to let you, this is all you put all of this together, so I'm going to let you run it.
All right, perfect. All right, good Saturday, everybody. So we're going to be here. I'm not going to, push it past, 5 o'clock. I know probably all had a long week with all of this. So we're not going to be looking at really any documents today. I really wanted this to be more of the focal point for, professional practices and, what is expected of you in the field, and also kind of give you some general knowledge too as to, what kind of goes on behind these documents every time you print them. And kind of looking at everybody here, I see some familiar faces. Some are on my Phoenix team here with Unlimited Ink. So Wayne and Allison, I see you there. So thanks for dropping in today. I'm anxious to kind of meet some of you actually in person now that society is kind of getting back to a little bit of normal. So I'm anxious to do that. So again, thank you everybody for attending today. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of screen sharing because I really kind of want this to be an open discussion. If you do have a question, please raise your hand. I've got about 9 topics I'm going to go over. The first one we were going to go over, we are hosting a marketing session, so I don't want to drag that one out too long because we'll cover a lot of that content, or at least Ronnie will. I believe he's hosting that one. So topics I am going to go over today is professional photo and bio standing out in a crowd. Our next one is I know my signing service, but do they know me? Next one, what can I do about it? This is the favorite one of mine. Your equipment is not my problem, but you're making it ours. Your work presentation is a reflection of you. Answering your own question, using your resources to obtain knowledge and continuing education. And, I'm sorry, these are just the footnotes that were outlined. So the last one's stand your ground. If it doesn't seem right, it probably is not. So the first one that we will talk about is professional photo and bio standing out in a crowd. Now, I'm Ronnie's business partner. I am a lot more involved in the Unlimited Ink side of things. So I run the general operations and the workflow. I handle all of our approved list. I pretty much make that company functioning so it can handle, the volume of signings that we do. We're very big on notary support. I'm sure all of you, especially some of you that have been in this industry for quite a while, have experience trying to contact a signing service and nobody picks up. Nobody's answering your emails. That's not us at the Unlimited Ink side. We, sure, everybody makes mistakes. There might be a few that have slipped through the cracks, but, we're, pretty on it. We've got a team of about 15 people that help us run that operation. And I'm really proud of them and the way they do everything. So starting off, professional photo and bio, standing out in a crowd. So when you sign up for signing services, and especially for platforms like SnapDocs and Signing Order, one thing you want to really understand, especially with like SnapDocs and Signing Order, they are not a signing service, okay? They are just a software platform that either signing services and or title companies use for their notary delegation. So when you create your bio on SnapDocs or signing support, especially in your beginning stages, and you're wondering why you don't have text messages and as such, it's just because you signed up for the platform and now you really need to go get the business for companies that use those platforms for their notary delegation. On the Unlimited Ink side, we use Signing Order. So we have access to every notary within that database. However, in our core markets, Arizona, Washington, and now Florida, I have designated team members that take a bulk of our orders. Uh, 3 of them are actually sitting in this meeting right now. So Allison, Wayne, and Tracy. And if I'm missing anybody else, Angela Cooney, there you are. That's what I call my core team. So when I assign orders, I try not to spread outside of my core team because they know our expectations as far as scans, document execution, delivery. It's a lot easier to give it to somebody that's very familiar with us instead of somebody brand new. Now, if you are brand new, I don't want you to be deterred by that because those names that I just mentioned and everybody on my team at one point was brand new to this industry. So you have every ability, to be an all-star for somebody. Now, with your professional photo and bio, especially if you create it on SnapDocs and signing order, that is all I know about you. If I have never met you in my life before and I send an order out, especially in an area where I don't have core teams, like, California, it's a big state. We don't do a dime a dozen signings out there like we do in Phoenix and Washington, unless the borrower that owns a home in those states, happens to be there and needs to do the signing. That's changing. We just got, some clients in California as, we're always looking to grow. But what we do is when we send out the order, typically signing order, I'm sure SnapDocs works very similar. Whatever the property address, we have a search radius that we have set in there. Typically, we search within 25 to 50 mile radius, and those texting, they start to get blasted out to every notary in that database that is within 50 miles of that signing, meaning wherever your address that you put in the signing order, or if you've upgraded zip codes, whatnot, you're going to get pinged for that order. Now, again, I don't know anything about you. So all I see is a photo and a bio, and if there's been any feedback left. So when you create your professional photos and bios, like say something about yourself, don't leave your bio blank. That's your time to shine. Would you show up to a job interview that wants a resume and you come up empty-handed with a resume? You're probably not going to get the job. Be honest, about yourself and, some of your experience. I would really encourage any new notary, when you put on your bio, I know you're being honest and everything, but, you may not want to mention I am a new notary. So new notaries, whether you're, well-trained here with Notary Stars, Notary to Pro, that is a deterrent, because if you've got, 15, 20, 30 other notaries that are saying yes to the order and, we're reading the bios, checking your credentials, and we see new notary, that may be a deterrent, especially like on a buyer's file that needs to be signed that same day and shipped that same day. And that's funding the next day. Nothing can go wrong with those. So, us at a signing service, we really want to, make sure that risk is as low as possible when that signing goes out. So, say something about yourself, in your bio. If you have any real estate experience, what your customer service experience is. Veterans, mention you're a veteran, because you might get somebody like me that reads that. I was a Marine so long ago, 99 to 2003. Like, I love giving veterans work. Like, use that. You deserve it. Seriously, put that in there. Veteran, Air Force, Marine Corps, what you did in the service. I love veterans. They're hardworking. A lot of them don't complain about the little things, because they've been through a lot more challenging things in their life, and executing a signing should be very easy for them. And plus, I know if something needs to get corrected, I'm not gonna, get an individual that's gonna be kicking and screaming all of the way. So, really say something about yourself be honest, but my only suggestion is on signing order. And I'm not telling you to lie or anything, but you don't have to disclose everything. I mean, we can kind of get a gist on signing order how active and how experienced you may be, because it does let us know how many orders you have with signing order. Now, I don't take it, to heart, because I know there's a lot of notaries that do a lot of work outside of the signing order platform. So, those platforms, when they show how many orders you've done in the past year or 12 months, they, I am aware that that is just, accounting for, signing order. My big one is your profile photo. So I am huge on this. What's the saying? Picture says 1,000 words. That can't be, more true. So when I look at your photo, if you have a professional or semi-professional photo, I know that person cares about their business because they took the time to make sure their appearance was a business professional appearance. So please, what is it, like a 3/4 shot, whatever it may be, please do a semi-professional or professional photo. I mean, if it can be with a cell phone, but if you're standing like, back of with your back against the wall with a shirt and a tie, and somebody took it with an iPhone, like that's awesome. I know getting a professional photo of yourself, it's probably not cheap, but I know that person took the time to dress up and have somebody snap a photo of them because they care how they look and they present themselves, to potential, contracting clients or contractors like us. As far as what I see with photos, I was thinking about pulling some of them, but it may not be good to show somebody's image on here that I'm not authorized to do. But I am not exaggerating about, and this is rough, but I would say on signing order, and I would be interested to hear what Ronnie thinks about it. On profile photos, there's probably about 25 to 35% of notaries on there with no profile picture. And now in July of 2021, when it's a little more competitive with notaries because society's getting back to normal and not everything is handled remotely, I've got filters that I can set in there. Has a profile picture. So if I click that, you are not even going to come up in that search. So please make sure you get a professional photo. Don't have anybody else in the picture. And again, this is all my recommendations, but don't have anybody else in the picture. I've seen prom pictures, wedding pictures, pictures with notaries and their children. I'm sure you love your children and I'm sure they're wonderful, but it's not good for a business professional representation of you. I've seen people at the sand dunes all the time, people sitting at restaurants and bars with beer glasses and wine glasses in the background. I just won't even consider that when I select a notary. So if it's in an area, a notary, and there's notaries out there that I have no idea who they are, which happens all the time, that is what I look at first and I tell my team this, my scheduling team, to look, do they have a professional photo? Did they take the time to take that picture? And do they have a bio? Because that tells us, a lot about you. Again, I don't want to be hung up on this one for too long because we'll go over that in our marketing class. But does anybody have any questions just related mostly to the professional photo and the bio? And if you do, go ahead and raise your hand. And I'll probably limit it to maybe 2 or 3 questions so we can keep moving along because we got a few more topics to go to. And I want to at least have 15, 20 minutes at the end where anybody can ask me anything. So if you do have a question, unmute and raise your hand, please.
Travis, one thing I would just like to add in on top of what you said is to kind of bring it full circle for what you said is signing order is not social media. And
because I have my personal laptop, my Lenovo, but I
I got it. There you go.
Yep. What I was saying is, I'd just like to reiterate that signing order is not social media. You have to think, and we have gone over this in the marketing portion in detail this week. But to bring it back to what you said, you really have to, and when Travis said stand out in a crowd, go back and watch the video of Carol, Ray, and I when we talk about what signing agencies are looking for, and I said the same things. At that point in that video, I pulled up and I said, there's 650 competitors within 25 miles of this zip code. And 3 years later, there's 1,800 and something in that same search parameter with notaries with their at least a photo in there. So we have even more competition after our refinance boom than we've ever had. So standing out, it's really standing out in a crowd now.
All right, and I'll take some questions here. I'll limit it to 2 per topic. That way we can keep rolling through these. So La Barbara D.A.Z., what you got?
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you for having this. I'm brand new. Haven't done any signings, haven't even signed up because I'm still trying to learn. And I tell you, when I first started listening to you guys, I was overwhelmed because it's like, oh my gosh, it's so much to learn. But as I go along, I'm learning. What I want to know is, being brand new, haven't done any signings, and any loan signings. What do I say? I don't even know what I would say in a bio.
Okay. No, that's a really good question. So, just be honest. I would, that's your time to shine. You might want to talk about your work history, especially, this is my opinion. If you are a full-time signing agent, I would definitely mention that, because the nice thing about having a full-time signing agent on our assignments is I know if something goes wrong, I don't have to worry about a notary's other full-time job getting in the way of getting that fixed so that loan can fund. So, work history, your customer service skills, any skills that you have, any equipment that you have, that's a big one. If I see in a bio, I've got a mobile printer and a scanner, I can print on the road, like easy choice right there. Those 2 items alone I will wrap up a notary in seconds that has those capabilities. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But just be honest about yourself, job experience. If you do it full time, you should mention that. So those are some key items. Just anything that draws an eye to you and why you would want to be picked. We'll kind of get into more with how to choose and become a regular with signing services or title and escrow. But just be honest. Talk about yourself, experience. What you have, what you do, and
Training courses.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, list your Notary to Pro, list your Notary Stars. If you've taken loan signing systems, I will tell you, I know this is being recorded, but if you've taken loan signing systems, list loan signing systems. Not everybody trusts every training course. Some people trust loan signing systems. Some people trust Notary to Pro. Some people trust Notary Stars. The more training you have, and you guys never stop training.
Okay. I have another question, one more, and it's quick. Do you think I should join the marketing side, or should I wait until I've done this a while, or join your marketing group?
Good question. I'll let Ronnie answer that one.
So I'm very passionate. Anybody's welcome to join the marketing class. It is only upgradable by Notary Stars who have been in the program for a minimum of 30 days. We are 3 sessions in. We will continue to go with or without anyone. We are, creating a journey. It's not that hard to get caught up, and it won't be even if you start 20 episodes in. However, I want to put this warning out there, and all of the ones in the marketing class now will tell you. I will tell you at the very beginning and in every episode that marketing is a every day thing. You can't stop marketing. I spend hours a day, and you can ask Travis. Part of my job is to make sure that we are getting new business, that we are constantly marketing the company, whether it be through social media, interactions, meetings, talking to people, working up people. If you want to join the marketing, you need to be where you're not really focusing on training. And I don't want our Notary Stars tarnishing the brand of Notary Stars, which we are now definitely a nationwide brand. I don't want people coming into the marketing course putting the cart before the horse.
Okay.
And marketing until they are really ready and comfortable with the documents, because I want people hiring our Notary Stars, and they are. And it's not just unlimited ink. I want people to understand this is not just to get your wheels turning. Like this, what I'm teaching is you can put any business online and those types of things. So yes, you're welcome after you've been in the program for 30 days, but there is a time commitment for sure. And I would rather you spend that time getting to know the documents and spend another 30 days in the course than spend your money and get lost.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, because I do need to learn the document more. I don't feel comfortable yet with that. So
yeah,
okay.
You'll know when it's time.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, and I thought I saw another hand up, but that is okay. I am going to move on to the next topic. I'm going to keep rolling through these here. So my next one is, I know my signing service. I guess you can say title company too. I know my signing service, but do they know me? So this one is really big because I'm going to put it in the context of my Phoenix team and my Washington team as well. So I know all of my regular notaries, some better than other. A lot of them I don't interact with because nothing ever comes up with them or whatnot. And a lot of them were on our team before Ronnie brought me on as a partner. But when I pull up that list, I know who are my white gloves, who are my preferred. I know some of their nuances, some of their habits. I know some of them personally too. But this is really big in this business, is building that relationship, because my core team, they have relationships with Unlimited Ink. And now that, and you're going to hear me say this over and over again, but now that society is kind of getting back to normal, this past year has been extraordinary for notaries. Title doors were shut. Interest rates were at an all-time low. There were signings given out like candy. And trust me, we had a lot of signings during the COVID times that were given to first-time notaries. I don't want to say that's all we can find, but that is the case. A lot of them come back butchered. We would prefer to get a Notary Star on there, definitely, because you have our training and, we have the same expectations on the Unlimited Ink side. But now me and Ronnie, how many do we get a day? Like 5, 10, 15 emails, calls a day for notaries, looking for work. That didn't happen this past year because, I don't want to speak for everybody, but a lot of them were not having challenges finding work. The signing notifications on my phone were just constantly going off for SnapDocs and signing order. Those are the two that I'm most familiar with. But, my friend Jackie, she stated to me, she's like, I feel like I'm panning for gold in a jewelry store right now. And it really was. I mean, my phone would go off so much, it would drive me nuts. And then even when I was a notary, like just Ronnie, calling me, all the time, signing here, signing there, signing there. And I was pretty much just working for him at that time, this time last summer. But during that time, did they build a relationship with the people that were delegating work to them? You know, does that signing service know all the hard work? So, you know, you really want to connect with who is contracting work. You want them to know you by name, because if they know you by name, now your relationship becomes a lot more personal with them. Now, here we are in July 2021, the signings have, from what I've read on the message boards, which I'm not much of a fan of. We'll talk about that later, but there's good information there. But, you know, no signing notifications. It's slow. Is anybody else busy? This and that. You know, you guys, I haven't done a signing in 6-7 months, and my phone still lights up from all these other companies that I used to work for. And I've asked a few of them, I'm like, hey, look, this is my position now. You know, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to waste mine. I really appreciate you for everything you've done for me. And I still talk with some of them just because I like them, and I'm a people person. So the real estate industry, it's feast or famine. You know, if you haven't worked in a real estate job and been through any lulls, it happens. Sometimes it's really easy to make fast, easy money. Sometimes it is dead. And I think Ronnie can talk to this too. In 2008, I wasn't even doing real estate at that time. I didn't even know what the heck an escrow account was in 2008. But, you know, per my discussions with him, he was still busy after that because he had relationships with the people that were contracting work to him. So when you get a job, not everyone is going to build a relationship, but you really want to establish that. That way, if there is a dive in business, you know, nationwide due to the market, interest rates, you know, refi market drying up, low inventory for purchases, which is happening out here in Phoenix, absolutely. Are you going to be the one that they go to when things slow down? So you always want to look into the future. You know, you don't want to take the easy way out every time, because during the COVID time, so here at Unlimited Inc. in the Phoenix area, our notaries, they hand deliver the closing package. Now, when COVID and shutdown was happening, I would call notaries for signings. Like, hey, this is the signing. We need you to drop it off at title. Can you do it? Oh no, I only do a shipping label. I'm not driving all the way that way. And I would let them know, like, look, if you work for a local company, this is the way that it's normally done. And if they offer a courier service, you usually take a hit on your fee. So, and I would leave it at that. If they didn't want the signing, you know, great. And I'd move on to the next and try to get it assigned. Now, fast forward to 2021, and I'm meticulous too. I keep track of all of this. I remember faces and profile photos, and I've got those same notaries reaching out to us for work. You know, now they want to work for us and do the hand delivers. Well, I promised my teams, you stick with us during these times, you keep hand delivering. I assure you, when the shutdown ends and things get back to normal, you will keep getting these signings. I'm not going to go and find somebody else just because it's easier on me, whatnot. You know, I'm very loyal in that aspect. So I would encourage you, any work that you do, try to build a relationship. And you will see that too on like Tuesday Notary Titans with Carol Ray, Bill Soroka. They all say the same thing. This job is about relationships. So I will leave it at that, and I will take a couple of questions regarding this. So please just go ahead and speak up or raise your hand if you do have any questions. Nobody has a question? Okay. So again, go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'd just love to add something to
Yeah,
what you
no,
said,
please do.
just really quick. I don't want to keep elongating everything, but you know, what Travis said is very, very true. And, you know, you guys know that I'm more on the Notary Stars side and training, and then the, you know, acquisition side of Unlimited Ink now. But, you know, going back to when I was managing the company, just Unlimited Ink, and I get notaries on the phone that say, you know, I don't do scan backs. I don't do local return. That's what you hear in forums from the worst notaries in the country. I'm going to tell you, Travis and I sometimes laugh, and I'll say, look this notary up. And it's the same notary in the forum saying they don't do anything. And the reason that they don't do anything is they may have one good client that pays them something. You can't survive off one client in this business. You need multiple streams of revenue, multiple clients calling you, multiple people to work, and you have to work differently with different types of clients. If you've been in Notary Stars for any amount of time, you know I stress you need to have local companies and you need to have nationwide companies that are calling you. For all of you that wants direct business, and all of you that want it will find it somehow, I will guarantee you the first time you tell someone that you want to work with them direct, and then you tell them you're not going to deliver that package and you need a shipping label, they're never going to work with you. They might be paying you a hair more than a signing agency or a little bit more, but they're going to expect local return. You're servicing your local community. And I know what you hear on the internet with other courses, make 6 figures. And yes, you can do that.
Absolutely.
But it takes a lot of work. And you know, I've made 6 figures, and I about ran myself sick, and it was barely 6 figures, you know, until I became a signing agency. And I try to warn notaries, don't get your business processes set in your head by all those notaries on the internet that says, I don't do anything. And there may be one notary out there in your area. I know one, John Bystrom. He's a Notary Star and a Unlimited Ink welcome notary. He's got a real sweet spot. He doesn't do local returns for us. He's at a signing table every single day for a title company that we service. And he's an in-house notary. And he made that relationship, you know, during COVID. And they like him, and he's their in-house notary. He's earned the right after all this time. He also spent time in real estate, and you know, he's earned his place. But he doesn't also go on the internet and gripe to other notaries. When he was building his notary business, he was doing local return. He showed up to every meeting we ever had. He was in training. He did everything and I still talk to him regularly. He's a really nice guy. And if he ever had a problem with his in-house job that he now has, or in-house contract job, he would have a home at Unlimited Ink. He helped build this company. So yeah, relationships, and then make sure you be careful about where you're getting your information from. Why is that notary telling you one thing, and then Carol Ray, Bill Soroka, myself, Travis, all telling you something else? It's not because we like to tell you these things for the hell of it. It's the truth.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me into the next topic, is what can I do about it? I'm huge on all these. That's, you know, why I dreamed these up these past couple of weeks. So, you know, I am not a fan of social media. Yes, I have a Facebook profile. I haven't posted on that in 3 years. I'm introverted in a lot of ways, but in some other ways I'm not. I just don't like spilling my guts out on social media. I'm a very, very private person. But you can get, you know, I've gotten a lot of good information on Notary Cafe, you know, the message boards and groups on signing agent groups here in Arizona. You know, you can get good information and good advice, but really what you want to stay away from is the notaries that are complaining on social media. Like, when my documents were late, you know, I had a signing in an hour, and I don't understand why title cannot, you know, get the documents out to me early. Well, I can answer that because it's not title. It's, you know, they get the documents from the lender. You know, things are really slow for me. You know, these signing services, they're not paying me enough, you know, this and that. complaining about anything, and their private profiles are probably the same way. Like, don't be a part of that, please, because that is public information. And yes, when I have notaries that come and work for me, I look for them on those message boards to see what they're like, what they're talking about. I don't want to bring anybody on my team that's bad mouthing a couple of borrowers that they had at the signing table the other day, complaining about the escrow officers, because they're going to go and do that same thing with us. Like, I won't even consider it. So you really need to be careful what you post online, because once you post it online, that's available for everybody. If you're going to post a question or a situation, do it from an educational standpoint. Don't, go and just complain and complain and complain and complain. Like, really, what is it going to do? Has anybody posted a complaint on Facebook and it changed the world or the ways of an industry in any way? Probably not. So unless you're Elon Musk talking about Dogecoin and, raising it up by 1,000%, but that guy, he's an influential person. All of you, me, if I post something on there, most people don't know who I am, so it's probably not going to change much. So, be an adult. Don't act like a child on social media. Do not be a part of that, please, because it's a mess. I can't stand it. And if I have a notary that reaches out to me and I see that, I won't even consider it. I'm going to log it on my tracker. Next time I get an email, that's what I look for. I look in my records. I'm like, have I talked to this person before? What happened? Not every, signing service is going to be as meticulous as, I would be, but there are probably a lot out there like that, because we don't want to deal with that. You are handling somebody's home closing. This is a big deal. A lot of these people have been in closing for maybe not that quick, 3 weeks to 3 months. And when I worked at the bank, we used to have people in escrow for over 100 days because there's all sorts of problems with the property, clearing liens on it, inspections. Sometimes these loans drag out. And by the end, these people are ready to be done with it, and they don't need somebody else showing up causing more problems, because these files have been through heck in a handbasket just to get in your hands. And I'll go over that too in a little bit, if we have some time, on what happens to these documents, what the story behind these documents before they get to you. Also, with what can I do about it? I get that a lot with notaries, or I get this a lot with notaries when we're searching for, a notary to do a job and we need scans. Oh, I don't have a scanner. I don't have this. I don't have that. Get the equipment that it takes to do the job. You need to do something about that. I have gotten scans back that are, shuffled. The pages are skipped. And in our instructions, it states, please look at your scans before you upload them to make sure they are all there. I just had one about 2 weeks ago, funding off of the scans. Next day, it was missing all sorts of pages. She rescanned it at 10 a.m. the next morning. The scans were diagonal, crooked, and I called her about it. I'm like, look, we need you to get this together. Well, my scanner at my office, it's broken, but we got a new one. And I'm like, well, that's not my problem. And she's like, well, it's still a fact. Like, no, I'm never, ever using that notary again. You really need to, do something about it. Get a scanner that works. I always kind of joke with my team and Ronnie about it, but a notary not having a scanner, because this is always the biggest pain point. It's not so much printing, it's scanning. But a notary not having a scanner is like a construction worker showing up to a job site without a hammer. Like, it is an absolute necessity, and you need a good one. If you are, I always say if you're paying less than $300 for scanner, it probably doesn't work very well. I'm at my other house right now, so I do not have my scanner on me, but I've got a little brother scanner. It's about this big, that tall, and I carried it around in my backpack when I went out and did signings. And if they wanted scans before that package needed to go out that same day, I would be at the signing table and I would let the borrowers know, like, hey, folks, we're going to get this. I see you're closing tomorrow. I have to ship this today. Cutoff is in 4 hours. If you don't mind, I just need a power outlet. So if I can plug my scanner in, I can get this scanned up as your title company needs these right now. And they think that's so neat that somebody shows up and has that care, to ensure that that closing package is getting back into the proper hands right away. Like they are going to feel so much more comfortable, and they're going to call title and say, oh my God, this notary showed up. He was great. He scanned the package to you. They're going to mention those things because title follows up with borrowers like, hi, and the lender does too. And I used to. And they're going to ask, how was your signing? Did everything go well? And if it didn't, they're going to lay it on them. And especially if it's with the lender, the first thing the lender is going to do is call title. And they're going to be like, my signers, they just signed these documents. And they said the notary did this, did this, did this, da, da, da. So you really want to have the, the ability to do things like that. That is expected of you. And it's going to make things a lot easier. And I'm kind of topics on my next one with this, but don't waste your time complaining on Facebook posts. You need to do something about it. If you are not happy with the pay a signing service is offering for a signing, then just don't take it. Don't go and complain. It's not going to do anything. Now, in the beginning stages of your career, and this is how I looked at it, everybody's got a different story, but I worked in lending for, I think, like 4 years. And I heavily researched this job. And I didn't know about it at the time. I think Ronnie just maybe started Notary Stars up when I quit my lending job. And, I researched this. I looked how to do it. And, I understood what equipment that I needed about it. And I told myself, I was like, I'm going to get myself a mobile printer, a scanner. I need to be able to print on the go. And I came up with all these ideas that are going to help me and what I can do about it. As far as the fees go, I didn't care. If it was offered to me, I was going to take it, because in the beginning stages of your career, some of you might get lucky. You might find a direct business right off the bat that's giving you 3, 4, 5 a day. But that story, it's going to be few and far between. So, and you see people post that online. Oh, I did 7 signings in-house. I've only been a notary for 2 weeks. You don't know if that's true or not. Don't let stuff like that, deter you, because what you're looking for in the beginning stages of your career is every signing you do is a potential opportunity in your next opportunity to greatness. Maybe you hook up with them, maybe they refer you to somebody else, and they keep using you, and you're gaining skill too, the more that you do. Now, obviously, if the pay isn't enough to make your bills, that might be a different story, but you want to, I guess that's another conversation in itself. But the way I approached it is, I'm going to do any signing. I'm never going to ask for a fee increase unless I was asked to drive, 4, 5, 6 hours, if it was, completely ridiculous. But if it was manageable, I didn't care whether it was $20 or $150. I was taking it. And you can all see where it landed me. I was Ronnie's workhorse. I would do, I guess I can show this just to show you all I'm not fibbing here. Let me show you this. I would do on average between three on the low end. I would take days off and breaks because it's exhausting sitting in a car all day long, but usually on the low end 3. And sometimes I would get up there to 7. Outliers, I've done, 8, 9 in a day, not like full doc refis or purchases, because there's not enough time for that unless you're sitting at an in-house signing all day long, because you got a lot of drive time and as such. But
Travis, I do want to say one thing, if it's okay,
Yeah.
while you're pulling up something. I want you guys to know that, Travis is talking about his experience, and I just want to make sure that everyone knows you don't have to do 3 to 7 a day and have a successful career as a notary. We have a great notary on our team. You mentioned her earlier, painting for gold in a jewelry store at the time, Jackie Tailbaum, that has done really well and has made great relationships. And she's in a position in life where she doesn't want to do that many per day. She doesn't want to be on the road, but she has the equipment that she needs to, when she does do those types of signings,
right.
She is ready for them. And we don't judge her for wanting to spend time with her family. I mean, she's in a great marriage and a great lifestyle and doesn't have to do this. She's retired from her career. She doesn't have to do it. But when she does do this job, she has the tools that we're talking about. So even if you are wanting to do part-time, you still have to build your relationships. You still have to have the I'm going to see this through, just like those, we call them turn and burn notaries, where they're just turning and burning every file they get. You want to have the same, when you take a file, it should be the same whether you're a part-time notary or a full-time aggressive notary, is what I want to sum it up as. Thank you for letting me say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, and I'm going to just show you what my week looked like in July of 2020. So, and this is just with signing order. I had other companies, I think almost at this time, it was mostly unlimited ink, but I was still doing work with other companies just to show you evidence. And look, this July 2020, I was a signing agent for, I would say officially for, March, April, May, June, 5 months. Now, it was a little easier for me to pick up because I dealt with the stuff on a professional level at the bank. So I didn't have a whole lot to learn as far as, the documents, non-borrowing spouse, who does what. Because I used to be the guy that would freak out when these packages came back to me a disaster. So, I was pretty well trained already. So this was my schedule in July. And I told myself when I was doing this, because I wanted to do it full time and I did not want to go back and work another corporate job. Like, I wanted to be on my own. I only wanted to worry about myself, and I love driving. And I thought this was going to be, a really good fit for me. And it was. And then Ronnie comes along and sweeps me up, and here I am back at a desk. And I couldn't be happier. I just want to make a little joke about that. So this was my July of last year. 1, 6, 3, 3, 1. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was an easy week if I'm miscounting. Let's see, 6, 12, 13, 14. 3, 3, 2, 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 5. There's a 6 order day. That's a big day. 5, 3. So I tried to do at least 3. Sometimes I would take them on the weekend. And some of these orders are multiple packages too. Those are great when you show up and they're closing on 3 investment homes. Like, those are awesome to take. That's a good day. 7, 6, 5. Now, for you signing agents, for this to be easier, and I'm going to go into my next next topic here, is your equipment is not my problem, but you are making it ours. And I'm going to tie these two in. What can I do about it? Because I think they go hand in hand. In order for this to be possible for me, I had a mobile printer. If I left the door, I would leave my door at 7 a.m., go make my drops, and then I wasn't returning home. Whatever signing. So on a day like this, if I had 7 and I already had 5 of them booked for that day and picked up a couple, Once I left 7, I printed what I need to. If I didn't have packages that needed to, if I didn't have docs yet on some of them, didn't care. Problem solved. I had a printer. I'll print it out when I get to the people's house. I had no shame in doing that. So, sorry guys, I'm really thirsty. So if you are full-time, this is what your schedule is going to look like if you really want to bang these signings out. And I assure you, you do 3, you get up to the higher parts, 5, 6, 7 in a day. You're going to be leaving the door at 7 o'clock, and you are going to be lucky to be home at 8 p.m. at night. They're long, grueling days in the car, and that is not for everybody. But I have experienced harder things in my life than just sitting in the car for 12 hours a day. And my motivation was not to have to go back and work for somebody else. I was out of high school, I was a Marine, and then I worked insurance for a little bit. And then I worked sales for about 10, 15 years. And then I worked in lending, and I was just sick of working for the corporate ladder. So that was my motivation, not to go back to that. I told myself, I may not be the best notary to start out with, but by God, I am going to outwork the competition, because that's one of my strengths is I can outwork, and put in more hours than the average person. So let me stop my screen share here. So, get the equipment to do the job. And if you have a problem, ask yourself, what can I do about this? So, big one, late documents. You guys, no matter what you say, no matter how many times you complain, that problem ain't going away, and it's not going to be happening anytime soon. Late documents are a way of this business, and you are going to need to deal with it because it ain't changing. So I'm going to give you a little crash course real quick on what happens with these documents, because for some of you that have never worked in a real estate job, I really want to give you a scope of what happens to get these documents to you. And if you can make a judgment to think that all these jobs and these people before can really care, that you've got to print out documents in an hour and rush out and do the signing, trust me, they don't, because I sure didn't. When I was a processor, I was kind of a hybrid processor loan officer. I just wanted that thing to get signed. So let me get my screen up here. I'm just going to give you, we're good on time, so I can feel comfortable running through this. Let me screen share it again. And I'm sorry for the bad artwork. I am an artist. I love oil painting, so this is not a reflection of my normal work. All right, so this is what happens for those documents to get printed. You got an individual buying a house. First, they're going to go find, a realtor, and they're going to find a property. Realtor. And then they are going to contact a bank. Lender, bank, same thing. So the buyer likes the house, has a realtor. Now they're going to go to the bank. The bank is going to speak to the borrower, and they're going to pre-qual the borrower. They're going to ask them how much money you have, how much money you make, and they're going to pull their credit report. The next thing that is going to happen, now there's some variances with this. Not every bank handles it in this flow, but this is strictly just to give you an idea of the madness that goes on. So the bank, they're going to pre-qual this borrower. Usually unstated income or minimal documentation. The realtor, they're already under a sales contract at this time. Then you have the sellers. So the realtors are kind of the hub between the buyer and the sellers to make sure, these two people are agreeing on everything. So go to the bank, they get pre-qualified. Now the borrower has to get approved with conditions. We call it AW approved. Yep. AWC. Approved with conditions. They have to provide all their documentation to the bank. Sounds easy, right? Absolutely not. Every borrower is different. When I was at the bank, the easiest ones to qualify were W-2 employees and retired, because it's usually just a few documents that you need. But it gets super complicated. Like when you guys show up to the signings and you see those income tax returns in the documents that I talk about all the time that needs to be signed, I guarantee you, when you see those, that loan has been on a journey. Those are self-employed income is really challenging to use, and there's a lot of it that gets scrutinized, and it's there's a lot of back and forth with it. So it's really involved. So now the borrower's got to get approved with conditions. Once they're approved with conditions, that means they make enough, they have enough, and their credit's good enough to qualify for the home. Now, next is going to be your final approval. Now you got to wait for the appraisal to come in. And if any of you realtors are in here, you know this one very well. This is kind of the one everybody is on edge about. Like, what is this going to look like? If the appraisal comes in under value, that presents its own challenges. Sometimes the appraisal comes in and the property's in awful condition and the lender's like, no way, we're not lending a loan on this. You get into government-backed loans, VA loans, FHA loans, where there's higher conditions that have to be met on the property, repairs, termite reports. Also, certain properties, they need septic inspections. I mean, it takes a long time just to get to this appraisal part. And once this shows up, this can be a deal breaker for all of this. And then it starts all over again. So the appraisal comes in, it's good. All the inspections, everything, after it's approved with conditions, what the lender's underwriting team puts in is clear to close conditions, saying, hey, these conditions have to be met for us to give final approval so we can advance to closing. That's a whole day's conversation of those, so I'm not going to get into that too much, or really at all. So the appraisal comes in. Now, usually the lender's closing team, they are the ones that typically work with title to balance the CD. They don't even touch it. They don't even start working with title to get the closing disclosure out until the approval with conditions happens. The appraisal is in. I forget some of the other requirements, but once they're final approved, the lender's closing team, they work with title. What they start doing is they start balancing all the fees. So when you get to the closing table and you see this title settlement statement in the lender's closing disclosure, that's what the bank's closing team and title works on. They are constantly going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, making sure they balance. Once the closing disclosure is balanced, then the lender sends that out to the borrower, and that has to be received 3 days prior to signing. After that, they're good to close. So this is just a general crash course on what happens with these documents. I would say this part here between final approval and closing, or in pre-qualification, that is the longest part, because title, they do their own title search. Title deals with the sellers. You want to keep in mind, the lender has nothing to do with the sellers. They may speak to the seller's agent every now and then, but title is the one that's really communicating with the borrowers, the sellers, and the realtors. And title's job is to make sure that property is free and clear. prior to closing. So if the seller's got unpaid liens and judgments, encumbrances, anything on the property, that's what title is there for, to make sure when this seller hands over the home to the buyer, or in a refinance, when a lender is getting paid off because they're going with a new lender under the refinance, they want to make sure that property is being transferred free and clear. This whole process, you know, it can be 3 weeks, and it can be up to, I mean, the highest I had in escrow was like 110 days, and she ended up dropping out because they had to get, you know, they had to get a new septic system put in. This stuff comes up, a septic test comes in, septic test needs to be replaced. Septic guy has to come in, draw the design for the new septic system, send it to county, wait for county's approval on it, get the approval, build the septic system. Like, you know, all of these things take a massive amount of time. So that's why I'm big on what you can do about it, because all of these people in this whole process, you think any of them care that you're upset because documents came in last minute?
No,
Absolutely not. So that's, you know, and guys, there is way more to it than this. Like, you think this looks messy and crazy? Go find a job as like a mortgage loan processor at a bank, because these guys, they're not only dealing with one of these. This is just one loan. During COVID times, their pipelines were, so when I left the bank in September of 2019, I had 72 of these in my pipeline. Our new office manager that we're bringing on, he hung on a little bit longer at the bank than me. I think he capped out at about 98 of these at one time. And one of these can take up your whole day. So be kind to title, and be kind, you know, to the lenders, because they're on edge. You're going to be dealing with some of the most stressed out people in this job. You do not feel this burn that came up prior to these documents getting to you. So you ever get an escrow officer or somebody that snaps at you, you know, hold your tongue. Like, they're just having a bad day, and the stress is absolutely crushing. You go to bed at night, you think about all this stuff. Like, oh my God, did my closing team send out the closing disclosure? It has to be received. It had to have been received yesterday because their rate lock's expiring in 4 days, and they're leaving for a cruise in 5 days. Like this, it's real. Like these people are living in a parking lot with, living in a hotel with their moving truck in a parking lot. That couldn't be, more real. That's happens all the time. So just, keep that in mind. This is what's going on before those documents. And if you think complaining on the message boards about late documents is going to do anything, good luck. So let me get my notepad up. So again, I'm really big on that. What can I do about it? My two biggest tools that I had, and this is not for everybody, but was my mobile printer and my scanner. And I did not have an inverter in my car. I could not print in my car. I had a backpack and a bag that I carried my scanner and my printer with. And I would call the borrowers and I'm like, hey folks, I just got your signing, 4 hours ago. I'm on the road with other appointments right now. I'll be there at 4 o'clock. Do you have your IDs, this and that? I'll go over whatever I need to go with them. And I'm like, look, I just need a power outlet when I show up. I just got the documents a little bit ago. It'll take about 5 minutes to spit them out. I would, had my laptop computer. I used my Microsoft Surface Pro. That thing was a gem. I paid $30 through Verizon a month for to have my 4G or LTE hooked up to it, so I had internet wherever I needed to go. I would pull up in front of their house, pull up the package, run my page separator through it, and I had a big tub of in the trunk of my car of legal and letter size paper. I always had backups in case something went wrong. What if my toner cartridge was bunk and it started to streak? Well, I had a box of 2 extra ones. So, you really want to come up with preventative measures, because there's nothing more embarrassing too when you're at a signing table and you get there and you get to a document and you're like, uh-oh, this one didn't print right. This isn't going to work. It's a signature page to the deed of trust. That's happened to me several times before. Incidents like that, very similar to it. You run out the door with the wrong closing package. And I would tell them, like, look, this didn't print right, or I guess all the pages didn't print. If you wouldn't mind, I've got a printer in the car. Let's get this knocked out. They're going to appreciate that. So always ask yourself what you can do about something if it comes up. So I'll answer a couple of questions. Let's see. We will start with Tracy Stahl. Tracy, are you brand new to all of us? Who are you? I've never seen you before.
Whatever. So my question is, when you get to the table and the signers have not seen the closing disclosure,
Sure.
you were just talking about that. What do you say? What do you say? What would you suggest saying?
Good question. So here's the thing, and here's a couple of reasons why they may not have seen it, quote unquote, may not have seen it.
Right. But, or even if they say they have not had an email to, they don't.
Sure. Yeah. So here's the thing is, let me get my whiteboard up again. So the closing disclosure. So they have to get this 3 days prior to closing, not including Sunday, federal holidays. So it works just like the right of rescission date counts pretty much. So if they're signing on Friday, they have to get this thing, it has to be in their hand on the 13th. Now, when I worked at the bank, in order for them to close, because we had a halt in our system that would not allow us to issue closing documents until this closing disclosure was received. That can happen a couple of different ways. One, it arrives to them FedEx and it lands there on the 13th. Or two, we sent it out via DocuSign. If they open the email itself, they don't even have to open up the attachment. If they opened up that email, it sends a trigger to our system that it's been received. So me at the lender, when I worked there, I would tell them, this is your preliminary closing disclosure. It looks no different than the one you guys see in the package. We just call it that, the preliminary. This is your preliminary closing disclosure. Please look over it. If there is any names misspelled, figures are wrong, anything that you disagree with, now is the time to address it, not at the closing table. And I can't tell you how many times I still got calls from the closing table, because a lot of it, they may not look at it. Maybe their lender didn't let them know it was emailed or it arrived via FedEx. But what you need to tell them is, I don't know. Call your lender, because in order for them to be closing, it is a federal regulation for them to receive this within 3 days, a preliminary closing disclosure, no later than 3 business days prior to signing. And that is a federal law.
Wow.
So, they may not have looked at it. Maybe they opened up the DocuSign email, so the lender's in compliance. But, it could be a plethora of reasons. But a lot of times, too, what I dealt with is they just didn't look at it. I thought like we were magicians and everything was going to be magic. But, the borrowers do have to take on a lot, some of the responsibility when they're in the loan process. They're human beings, too, just like us. Some are on it, some are lazy. There's really no difference in personalities, whether they're borrowers or notaries, whatever. They're human beings. There's some people that have that I dealt with that, getting a W-2 or a bank statement was like pulling teeth. And it's like, come on, dude, this is your home. Like this is a team here. I'll help you if you help me. as much as they want to kick and scream and complain about documents, I always used to tell them, it's not us asking for it, but the federal government requires us to ask for these documents because that's what we were required to get to write a qualified mortgage to you. But if they say, no, I haven't seen this, don't know what it looks like, they need to contact their bank or their lender. That's not your, that's not your space.
So you pretty much just say, I don't know, like it's no big deal because obviously.
I would say contact your lender. You do not need to get into like, oh, well, you have to get this 3 days prior to closing. It's
Right,
a, don't do that.
Right.
Like, stay out of it. Call your lender. You know, I'm the notary. I'm here to verify your identity and your signature. I don't know why you haven't gotten this document.
But here it is now, so go ahead and sign.
Yeah. So
Right.
they should receive this. Then if they haven't, the bank is out of compliance without sending this because, you know, you can get in, it's not even a sellable loan, I don't think. I think if you sign somebody documents without sending this, the lender's probably going to have to shelf it for 30 years. So, or until, you know, they sell the place or refi out of it. All right. And Dana Keller, you have a question?
Yeah, so I kind of want to go back to your calendar of appointments. I got a couple of quick questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm curious to know how long you were spending at each appointment because I'm having a real issue. And maybe it's me because I go into a little bit too much detail on some of the forms, especially with somebody that's new to the refinance process, or maybe a new buyer or, you know, a new seller. But I've never had a typical refi that goes shorter than like an hour and 20 minutes. And especially if I get one of those VA loans that's 200 and some odd pages. So I'm curious to know when you're booking 5 to 7 appointments a day, how much time are you spending? And then I also want to know what laser printer you were using that fit in a backpack.
Yeah. So, and it was a scanner. So it was, I know the big one is the Epson EW 500. I actually bought that one, but my Surface Pro wasn't compatible with the software. So you know, I wish I had my scanner here. It's a Brother model.
Yeah, I have the Brother ES 300 WR that's wireless and it fits in a backpack. But I was concerned about the printer. Now, the printer that you had in your vehicle, what kind of printer did you have?
Yeah, no, I'll show it to you. Let me get my screen.
Okay, and did it have a scanner connected to it, or your scanner? You were just using the portable scanner, right?
Yeah, right. So my mobile printing, and even at my home too, I don't have a scanner attached to my attached to the printer. So for mobile, I use the Brother 2300, and I'm pretty sure we have this one on the, yeah, here it is. I didn't use wireless. I bought, so when I'm doing stuff mobily, you know, if you can hardwire into the equipment,
right,
it's a lot easier because if something happens with the wireless connection, you know, you don't have to fiddle with that. You just boom, stick a USB plug in the back of the printer and into your computer.
And since this is not a dual tray printer, I'm assuming you're using a page separator app?
Yes, and we have a page separator link on the Notary Stars website. So yeah, I would, you know, I would use the page separator. It gives you one file of all the letter, all the legal, a stacking order. And I would set the tray to letter, print out the letter pages first, put them aside, pull out the tray, extend it to legal, put the legal paper in, shut it, print the legal out. Like it takes like 5 minutes and this thing can spit out a package and it's only $100. This thing,
you can print out all legal too, right?
you know, it depends on your closing instructions. So yes, you can print out all legal. However, if the lender or title requires mixed legal and letter, you should always print out as is.
So I'm curious, did you pull a little trailer with reams of paper behind you for all these print jobs you were doing on a daily basis?
No, I had a big giant Tupperware bin that I kept in the trunk of my car, and I had a miniature Tupperware bin that I had a ream of legal and a ream of letter, and I would just stuff that in my backpack and walk up to the house, and I had the printer in a kind of like one of those Grubhub bags. Just find a bag for it, and this thing was a war horse too. And keep in mind, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. This thing sat in my car many a times when it gets up to 140, 150 in your vehicle. As long as you don't buy off-brand ink, usually, I mean, it's probably going to be a different story if you're working in sub-zero temperature in the winter. If you're in Minnesota, Chicago, a cold state in the winter, that's, probably going to be a different ball game. But this thing, it is still sitting. It's actually sitting right beside me here. I probably printed out, I don't know, 400 or 500 packages with it. I would always have 2 or 3 extra ink toner cartridges in the car, and also 2 drum replacements, because I always tried to be I tried to think ahead, like, what are my problems and how am I going to solve them if they do come up? So you just want to have backup stuff. So this thing was awesome. It weighs maybe, I don't know, 5-6 pounds. And I'd always joke with the signers when they show up, and I'd show up with all this stuff, they're like, it's 120 degrees out, and they're like, oh God, you're carrying all that stuff around? And I always make a joke. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, isn't it heavy? They're like, yeah, not really. I always kind of look back at my Marine days, and my drill instructor would probably be very disappointed with me right now if I was letting 5 pounds whip my butt. So it's not really heavy to carry. And you can go to Staples and get a little dolly for it. Just be respectful when you're going into people's homes. That's where I would, at least have a bag that you can lift it off the dolly, so you don't have like dirty wheels and as such going through their home and as such. So you want to be, respectful of their home.
So getting back to my first question, how long did you spend at each appointment if you were doing like 5 a day?
Yeah, very good question. So it's really all about your scheduling. This is how I did it. Also, how far, let me turn my phone off. Like, how far was I to between appointments? Like, how long of a drive was it? So my rule of thumb was 2 hours in between appointments. If it was a full doc refi or a purchase, I did not schedule anything closer than 2 hours, because if something happens, if it's a quick signing, I can bang those out in 30 minutes. I don't care what it's VA, FHA loan. Some of them, they don't want to sign. I would still always go through my script, but, I just had it nailed down so much. Sometimes they only take a half hour. Sometimes they take an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes something goes wrong and they have to call their lender, and there's all sorts of problems at the closing table. But I would always allow 2 hours between like full doc packages, to account for something dragging on longer than I expected it to. Now, if it's like a 10-page seller's package, depending on how far the next appointment was, I would be a little more liberal on the time, hour and a half. But be mindful too of my situation though. I wouldn't eat lunch. I mean, a lot of times I would live on QT pizza slices and energy drinks when I would go fuel up. So, everybody's pace is different, but I left the door at 7 a.m. and I wasn't getting home until, 10 o'clock. Sometimes on those days that I did, 6, 7, 8, I was just lucky. Appointments were really close. They all went smooth, and I just had more time to do them. So sometimes it's just dumb luck. Sometimes I would only do 2 in a day because I'd be hung up at the closing table. The signings were far apart because I didn't cherry pick my signings. If the signing came in If I could do it, if I was available, I would take it, because there's no guarantee something better is going to coming in. You know, that's how I always looked at it. But, you know, if you're going to be doing 5, 6, 7, 8, like it's going to be a good 14, 15, 16-hour day for you. It's not easy. It's exhausting. I mean, you can even look at, did I close it out? I did. I mean, there were days I only did one. Some of them I didn't do any because I just needed a rest. I was just tired. You know, it's hot. I did.
Also, I just want to chime in on this because you had said that you haven't gotten to the point yet where you get, you know, signings done in under an hour and 20 minutes. You know, I will see if I can work on some processes to add to Notary Stars, but I had that problem in the beginning, and it really does depend on your state. I will tell you, if you're signing in California, it takes longer. If you're signing in another state where you don't have to record every single document the same way, which I think California just made an update that they can be recorded on one line. Please check your state government. Don't listen to me because I am not looking at the legislation right now. But, you know, getting your processes down so that your signings go fast are really going to be you taking your training and knowing those documents and practice. And it was probably, you know, a good 3 years in before I was like, okay, how can I speed this up? Now, some of you might have more aptitude. I tell you guys, I was not the brightest light on the Christmas tree my whole life. And I've just taken really good to the notary industry. But getting your processes down is hard. And once you have them down, you have to stick to them. And you'll even have people challenge that along the way to kind of throw you off track. And, you know, not every signing is perfect. That's why we tell you to watch your schedule. But
Yeah.
What I did and what Travis did, and I know Travis's schedule because I pretty much gave it to him for the longest time. He was doing exactly what I did. I probably start my day with 3 signings and end with 7. And I had the mobile printer and the mobile scanner. And what I did was I tried to get through each signing as fast as possible. And then I would have this time in between where I could pick up somebody that really needed it. And then I could build them as a client as well. And that's where that mobile printer and the mobile scanner is going to make you more money when you can pick up those last minute signings and fit them into your day. That's going to get you recognized too, when you are able to pick up signings and, you know, you're the go-to get it notary, get it done. Travis was the go-to get it done notary. I was the go-to get it done notary. That's what your mobile printer and mobile scanner is going to. And for those of you who want to work part-time, you still need to know your documents. And the way you want to work your building your business is still just like the ones who are mobile printing for the business every day. You want to be the notary that they can rely on to call if they need a closing right now.
No, very well said. So, you know, and talking about speed through a signing, and I'm just want to make myself clear. I've never rushed a borrower through a signing. I always move at their pace, but there's things you can do to cut down on minutes here and there, and you'll figure them out. Like notary identification statements, the required borrowers information forms that I went over. What are the other ones that take a while? The identification form that title sends out. Why can't I think of it right now? And I see this one several times a week. Anything where the signers have to fill out, you know, I mean, even the Patriot Act, you know, I would get through the package and I knew it was more involved than just, you know, filling out. Like I came up with ways, you know, and flip it upside down as I moved through the package. If there's one that I knew I had to fill out and it's going to take a while, I would turn it sideways, flip it upside down. So I knew I had to get back to it at the end of the signing when I'm filling out my journal. Anything that the signers like had to fill out as far as a document goes, you know, something like that's just past them just signing and dating. I go, look, I'm going to save this one for the end. go ahead and fill this out, put your bank information in, your insurance information, whatever it may be. While you work on that, I'm going to finish my journal up here. I'm going to finish, these documents. That way, the two of you are working on some of the documents and your stuff that you actually have to fill out at the same time. You come up with ways for better time management. Now, if you're new and fairly new in your career, just get it down and do it right before you start coming up with ways to cut out time. Like that is what I really want to stress to you is
Travis, can I mention something that would, I don't know about other notaries out there, but I know this would help me because I'm a really organized person and I try to keep a real good handle on my schedule, is when the jobs are being posted to the platform by the signing agency, if instead of just putting refi, if they would put VA refi or FHA refi or conventional refi, so that we could have an understanding of how big the package is going to be, that would help. I know, especially me, that would help me be able to schedule my appointments better. Because when I accept a job and all I'm going off of is it's a refi and I'm thinking it's 150 pages, and all of a sudden I get the documents or I get the package and it's 225 pages, and now I'm looking at an appointment that I've got that's an hour and a half after what it should be closing time for that appointment. All of a sudden my whole schedule is thrown off.
It's a good point, but that'll bring me back to the topic. What can I do about it? Because I'm going to tell you, there might be services and title companies that do that, but I assure you, they're way too busy with other time to do that. That's probably not going to happen. Does that make sense? Would it make
it
look better?
I'd like to comment on that as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is why we train. This is why we continue to train. What you just said is what I really am trying to stress to notaries, and what Travis is trying to say. And I'm going to say it you guys know I try to say everything, very caring and lovingly. They don't care what you think. They don't care if if it's a VA. That what we train for and what we teach you is to be able to do a VA refi or a buyer's file in the same amount of time. And I guarantee you, it doesn't matter if it's 225 pages or 125, I can get that file done in the same amount of time. And I guarantee you, because I've tested myself, I have a client that I work with sometimes or used to work with sometimes, Notary Cloud. If you've ever done them, they have a duplicate of everything. Their files are anywhere from 175 to 250 pages. But I've convinced them to pay me anywhere from 175 to 225. And I would love to get them in there. Very complicated client to work with. But I would get them into the middle of my schedule and I would make 175 to 250 sometimes, depending on how bad they needed it. And I could get them in the schedule. And that's including mobile printing. So I mean, the mobile printing part, probably about 15 to 20 minutes at the table. I would be starting the signing if I was mobile printing, but while some of it was coming out. You'll learn those processes. But I'll tell you, there is no client. Hear me now and share the word. There is no client who is going to take the time to say, is this a VA? Is this a refi? Is this is this an investment property? Is this, how many documents there are? They expect every notary in the country at this point, because this has been such a career and this is why all these training courses are coming up. And now we have so much competition. They want you to be able to be handed a file and you could do it in your sleep and do it in the same amount of time. And they go, why don't they know that? Just don't ever use them again. And that's why you guys are training, so that doesn't happen to you. Now, can you do that in the beginning? No, but you can mitigate that feeling. You can mitigate all of those things by scheduling yourself. And if it does take you a little bit longer, but you do want to practice your speed. When you're not working, you should be training. When you're not training, you should be signing up. All of these things that, make the notary industry for you, but the training part, and I wish I could tell you differently, but the answer is they don't care. And I will be honest, as much as I train with love, when I'm running unlimited ink, I don't care either. because it's a file and it has to get done. And that's all anyone in this industry really thinks about. And I wish I could tell you that it was different. We try to sugarcoat it for training, but at the end of the day, it is going to be this way and it's never going to change.
Yeah, very well said. Trust me. Like when I worked at the bank, like even here at Unlimited Ink, like you want this, want that, like doesn't work for me. I'll find somebody else. Like, you know, I really want to stress this part. What can I do about it? Because this here, and I love visual references, you guys. They help me learn, but this here, do you think they really care whether you know it's a VA, FHA loan, how many pages? Because I'm not undermining the mobile notary's job because it's hard work. It's long, grueling hours in the car. But you having 2-3 signings a day with late documents is the easiest part out of this whole process. Like, go speak to a loan processor, find one online, ask them what it's like to have 72, 100 loans in their pipeline at one time. Like, imagine asking one of these guys when they get off work, hey, can you please let us know this and this, be a little more detailed? They're going to be like, you're out of your mind. I already do enough. So, always ask yourself, what can I do about it? Because you need to adapt to the industry. The industry is not going to adapt to you. I assure you of that.
That's so well said. And I just want to add one more thing is that, guys, and Travis says it best. So I'm going to use your words, Travis. Travis is a veteran. That's one of the things I think in his profile that got me to hire him the first time. Then he did really well, and we kept going with our relationship. Now he owns half the company. Travis told me once, I was like, "Are you sure I'm not working you too hard?" And he laughed at me, and he said, "Yeah, I could be in a foxhole getting shot at right now, and 100 and something degree weather, but I'm just sitting in my car running around doing these things." And I think sometimes people forget, and in the notary industry, it is specific, and it goes back to some of the things we said. People start to think they're special just because they can make $100 or $125 in an hour. And you can, even if it's overlapping signings, you can make that much an hour. And you start to think that you're special. And I'm going to tell you, I love you all. And I know all of you love me. All of you have given me more love than any job I've ever had. But we are not special. And Travis, just like myself, wake up every day and thank God that we're not. I couldn't work another job, to be honest. My back, I got to choose when I could go out and wrap up myself for, an 8-hour day with my back brace to get out. And all of you have heard me talk about surgery. I am so lucky that I have a job that if I worked at a desk and I wanted to stand up, they would be like, "I'm sorry, just sit back down and deal with it." And I would be getting paid less and be in pain. And, we are lucky to be in this industry, and don't let those people, going back to in the forums, tell you, yes, there are some lenders that are easy to work with lighter packages. There are some that have bigger packages. That's why we say sign up with everyone and choose who you like to work with. Some people like to work with the big packages that pay more. Some people like to work with the smaller files. You're not bound. There are probably, I'm just throwing a number out there, 50,000 signing agencies in the country. And I'm equating all the smaller ones too. You can have a lot of business, and think of all the direct business you can have. But getting caught up on the little nuances of how big the package is and, when the documents come in, those are going to be things that hurt you in your growth. I would focus more on finding the client that I like to work with the most. Where am I the happiest?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So, I'll go over a couple more of these topics, and, really these last couple, they all tie in. So, what can I do about it? Big on that. your equipment's not my problem, but you're making it ours. So this is the one that drives me up the wall the most. All right, is scanning. Every day at Unlimited Ink, I swear 80% of the scanners manufactured in the United States are broken. I hear that all the time. Have a backup plan. And especially if your business starts to boom out, get a backup scanner. You know, it's your business. You are a professional. But when you scan a package, that scan should look just as good as the original PDF you printed from. That's how you want to gauge it. So, and some of you Notary Stars that have done work for us at Unlimited Ink, and I know there's some of them, and I know there's some of them sitting here right now too, that have seen a different, you see me and Ronnie here at Notary Stars, you know, training, happy, but you have seen a different side to me and Ronnie before. But we will still be professional with you, and, you know, because we want you to succeed. But trust me, there's a different side to me and Ronnie on the Unlimited Ink side, especially when these signings go astray, and it happens. But get the equipment in your scans. I cannot stress this enough. If your scans don't look nearly as good as the original closing package, you really should consider getting better equipment, because that, if I'm working with notaries and I get one and it's continuing problem, like boom, done. I'll blacklist them because I don't want to deal with it again. We don't have time for that. Real estate, it moves too fast. You know, we're not your employer. We're just contracting you to the job. We expect you to already be a professional when we contract a job out to you. Now, that's kind of leads into the next. Your work presentation is a reflection of you. Your equipment's not my problem, but you're making it ours. What can I do about it? I think those three kind of go hand in hand, because if you upload a bag nasty set of scans, that ruins my day. If there's anything that drives me more nuts with scans, is when notaries upload 100 different JPEG photos of the scans. Like, no, I delete those right away. We pull fees for that, and we have it in our instructions. We do not put up with it on our signing service side. Some other places might be more lenient, but you got to understand, most of the time, I mean, we do scans for quality assurance, but a lot of times when these signing agencies are asking for scans, that's because they are taking your scans and they're forwarding them to the lender for funding authorization. For the love of everything that is great in life, please merge your scans into one single PDF. If there's anything I cannot stand, is opening up scans and having to merge them for a notary, because I will not be using you again. You are professional. Merge your scans with Adobe Pro, other program. I get that a lot. Well, my scanner only does like 20 pages at a time. Well, you know what? Your equipment's not my problem, but you're making it mine. What can you do about it? Use Adobe to merge your scans. You know, look at them before you upload them, because if you want more business, you guys, I'm going to tell you, the competition isn't steep. Very few and far between do I get perfect scans, great scans. Like, all you have to do is what we're telling you right now, and it's not hard. You know, have care on the quality of your work, because that one's big. Your work presentation is a reflection of you. Scans are a big one. Please merge them as one PDF, all pages, even if they're irrelevant, especially for people that review them for quality assurance. I get back just the signed documents. And then what my team does is, hey, this one's 50 pages, but the original package was 70. I'm not going to have them waste their time figuring out what's there and what's not. Just upload everything that was in that package, and that says a lot about you. You know, it's not much harder to scan, 100 pages vice 150 pages. And I don't understand what the problem is with scans. Like, all you are doing is taking paper, setting it in a machine, and pressing a button. Like, it's just so beyond me what the problem is with scans. So, you know, look at it as a positive thing. Like, really, I mean, if scanning's your hardest part of the day, like, be glad that's your hardest, you know, problem at your job. Like, you should be celebrating that you know, that's your most challenging part of your day. So I'm going to go over this next one briefly. I'm not going to answer any more questions on this next one or the one after, because I want to open it up for about 15 minutes worth of questions at the end. But because we're already at 4:40 right now. This one, answering your own question, using your resources to obtain knowledge and continuing education. You guys are obviously in the right place for the continuing education. And look, here at Notary Stars, we're not here to shake your pockets. You know, if you feel you're versed, you don't need training anymore, great. But if you need to revisit the training, we're always here for you. You know, we're not here just to, you know, take your money and flip a profit. You know, we have this because this is what is lacking in this industry is continuing education. And nothing against the NNA. I love them to death. I still call them all the time when I don't have answers to things, but their training is very basic. It really doesn't deep dive into it. Now, you get a document or a situation that you don't know about, go learn about it. You know, document that I get asked all the time about is the substitute form for 1099-S sale of a principal residence. Those 6 questions. Every day, 3, 4, 5 calls. What is this one? What is that one? What is this one? Like, you need to learn. If you don't know, learn about it. You have the internet. Like, every answer for everything is pretty much out there. Research it, especially any of you that have, you know, gone to college and know how to write a research paper. Use multiple sources. Don't go to just one place. If you're questioning an answer, cross-check it with another source. You know, that's the thing about this. It's not like a regular job where you show up, your employer gives you, you know, your tools and education and tells you exactly how to do your job. Like this, you're on your own. You know, that it's your responsibility to gain the knowledge. So if you see a document, learn about it, go online, figure out what it is. Now, the commercial real estate that I taught yesterday, I am not an expert in that by all means. I don't even consider myself an amateur in it, but I was able to gain enough information to provide training on that course. And, you know, again, I still don't even consider myself an expert at all on that, but the information is out there. You know, learn about the documents because it's just going to make you better at your job. My last one, stand your ground. If it doesn't seem right, it probably isn't. You guys, this is a real estate job. It will compromise your integrity and your integrity will be challenged a lot. It will happen. I don't want to mention his name, but we had an incident, or we didn't have an incident, but a Notary Star, who is a notary for us in Washington, missed a signature and a notarization on the deed of trust. I'm not going to go into the backstory because the signing was absolutely insane. I'm not going to go into all the nitty gritty about what happened at the signing table with this lady. But it's definitely one of those signings that you would have walked away from and go, God, I wish somebody else would have got this one. So the signing service called him up, says, hey, you missed signatures and notarizations on the deed of trust. Can you please print out a acknowledgement for this and send us a copy? Well, he's smart enough to review the scan that he sent in, and he asked him, he's like, hey, the scan of the deed of trust you sent me has the borrower's signature on it and my notary block pre-filled out. That is not my signature in my handwriting. And I checked the scans and it was blank. Long story short, basically somebody at title or that signing service used some type of document program to mimic his signature and tried to trick him. But he stood his ground and was like, heck no, not happening. I will go out to the signer. He went to the signer and brought the one that they sent him. And he asked him like, hey, is this your signature? And she's like, no way, it's not. That's still ongoing. I'm interested to see what the final resolution will be, but it happened to me one time. Signing service reached out, signing service in Florida that I was doing work for. And they go, hey, you missed the subordination agreement on the signing. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm not going to miss a sub agreement. I mean, it could happen, but just blatantly, completely miss it. I still had a copy of that closing package and I pulled it up and I went into a signing order as well because, no, I did not because they lock out the documents, but I still had a copy of that on my secure drive. And I looked at package, I looked through all the emails and I emailed them back and I'm like, absolutely not. I am not back notarizing this. You didn't include it in the package. So you will have blame. You will have entities that will try to shift the blame on you. This industry, everybody finger points and nobody wants to take responsibility. Not nobody, but I think you get what I mean metaphorically, I guess. So if it doesn't seem right, challenge it. Just because you are a notary and you are not involved in the mortgage process and as such, these lenders, title agents, escrow agents, they're not gods. They're human beings. And when there's rate lock problems with funding, they will not do the right thing, sometimes. So you have to look out for that stuff. Don't just agree to it. Like, hey, we need this, fix this. Don't just agree to it. Really get a full scope. That's like when I have a title client calling me saying, this notary did this, did that. Oh my God, it's the worst signing ever. Before I pick up the phone and address the notary with it, I'm using my resources. I'm like, okay, let me review our text thread with the notary, all the email threads with the notary. We had a client just lose her mind at us because the notary's package came back to her the next day with, it was shuffled like a deck, missing acknowledgments and jurats and signatures. And, she was irate over it. And I looked at the situation and this is what happened with it. It's like cutoff was in 2 hours. The signing was in California. The notary rushed out there, signed all the documents, and rushed it. Our client was rushing the notary through it. Now, when I confronted title about it loosely, but then I still paid the notary for it because was the notary given an opportunity to succeed? In California, absolutely not. That's not his fault. The better thing to do would have been to move settlement by a day. So, I'm always reasonable about that. I don't automatically assume that, the notary is at fault, but I want you guys to handle it that way. If something happens and it doesn't seem right, don't do a knee-jerk reaction to it. Get a full scope, review your emails, everything that was sent, build your case before you act on it so you don't get yourselves into trouble. We had one, I think she did it on accident, but we had one that was going to sign last night and ended up today. The escrow agent uploaded scans of, it was a split signing. She uploaded scans of the first signer's documents for the notary to print, for the second notary to print and have the borrower execute and for them to notarize. I'm like, no, you can't do that. I can't have them, sign on a scanned copy of documents that already has signatures and stamps on it. So, and I don't know the end story of it. She may have just, didn't know, but, stand your ground. If it doesn't seem right, it probably isn't. You should always do things legally and don't compromise your integrity in this industry, because I'm going to tell you, you will get challenged with this. This is part of this business. Hold your ground. Okay, so we got about 10 minutes left. I'll go to 5:10. Ronnie, if you need to take off, go right ahead. I'll take it up to about 5:10 today so we can get some questions answered. God, I can do this for like 5 hours, but not today, but we'll have another follow-up class with this stuff. So, all right, who's got questions? Please raise your hand. Dana, do you still have questions? Anybody new? All right, Debbie. Let's see. Let's see who hasn't spoke yet. Oh, here we go. Let's start with Wayne Sudrick. Wayne, what's going on, Wayne? What you got? Wayne, going once, going twice. Okay, I'm gonna mute him. I'll come back to you, Wayne. Christy Ellefson. I'm gonna
Yeah,
ask
Ellison, you got it.
you, what's up, Christy?
Yeah, I just have a question about the Adobe Acrobat. I've got a Adobe Acrobat. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's DC, but I need Pro. To merge the documents, I send them in 2 files. Is that not okay?
Good question. 2 I would be okay with. You know, me personally, everybody's going to look at it differently, but
Okay.
I would recommend merging it. Like, you'll stand out on the I don't know if you're, already established in your career, but as a professional, it just takes an extra few seconds to merge it. If you don't want to fork out for Adobe Pro, there are other programs out there that will merge PDFs that are going to be a little cheaper than, the $30 a month for Adobe Pro.
So like what?
Travis, this is Beth.
What's
Can
up,
you
Beth?
hear me?
Uh-huh.
I've got DC, and it does combine files.
Okay. And
All
I
she
may be
needs
just,
to do is
might
go
be
to
one and the
tools at
same.
the top.
Go where?
Tools at the top. Once you're open up Adobe DC,
Okay.
go to tools, and then you'll have all of these options available for you. You're going to look for the function called combine.
Okay,
Okay, and it's really easy peasy.
great, thank you.
All right, Linda Edwards, you are up to bat.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, I have a question. When Ronnie was talking about going direct, let me ask you a question because I know exactly what it means, but what does it really consist of? Like, are you on the title company schedule or do they give you options or what times or how does that work?
Good question. That it could go either way. Every client's going to be different. Obviously, getting direct business, there's no middleman like a signing service like us at Unlimited Inc. that's, taking a cut off of the fee that title's offering. So that I would probably want Ronnie to elaborate a little bit more on because I never worked direct. I only worked for 7 months and then I was brought on, as a partner. So I'm not super experienced in that. But yes, if you're working direct, you could lose that direct business if, you're getting booked up elsewhere. So that's just, you need to be able to manage that because every time they call you, hey, are you ever signing? No, I'm already booked. You might lose that direct business. So
That's what I thought.
scheduling, and you want to probe them too. Like, hey, how many are you going to be giving me a month? I just want to make sure I can follow through with my commitment to you. That way I'm there for you when you need me.
Because I was wondering, do they give you like advance notice or, because I'm doing it part-time. So I'm thinking, I can't go direct because I can't be on their time schedule. So I was just wondering how does it work?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, that's the thing with this industry. It's spontaneous, it's last minute, and direct business, that model may not match your situation. Kind of like here at Unlimited Inc. Our model doesn't match a lot of notary situations because they can't hand deliver the packages, et cetera, et cetera. So, you really want to gear your marketing and who you are getting the business from to match what you're looking to get out of it.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. Okay.
Travis, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Wayne. What's going on?
Sorry about that. My headset's acting up. Anyway, talking about Ron, I got certified or approved by the state for Nexus and DocVerify.
Yeah, perfect. That's the ones we sent out. Yeah, perfect.
Amrock uses Pavaso.
Okay.
How do I add that to the state? Because every time I try and add Pavaso, they tell me I got to drop one of the other ones.
Good question. And I don't know the answer to it. So we are going to be doing a Ron training, and same thing with me and Ronnie. You know, we've got our, electronic stamps in because a lot of our clients are asking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I will be going through that spam email that I sent out to our whole team over the weekend so I can get that list updated. But make sure you email me that, because I don't know just of yet, like how you drop one and bring one on. So good question, but I don't know the answer to that one.
All right. I sent you the email.
A little bit of time to figure that one out for you.
I sent you the email beginning of the week, so you should have that.
Yeah. I've got 30 replies to it. I'm a little bit behind on that, but it's coming. So I just want you guys to have a jump start on it, because we want to delegate all that stuff to you guys first.
All right. Thanks, bro. Later.
Okay, and I will do. Lower your hand. I'm getting better at this Zoom thing. Okay, Olivia Martinez, I'm going to ask you to unmute and go ahead.
Okay, I'm very patient. I mean, I'm signing sometimes will take 5 hours because it's not my fault. Someone did the lender redid the wording and all that, and it was wrong, and I caught it, and I would say, this isn't right. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me try again. That kind of thing, patient. And this was I speak Spanish, so sometimes they don't tell them everything, and I'm not there to tell them everything either. Okay.
Right.
But I was there at 8 o'clock signing because they had to take off work. This is the second time that we had to do the signing, because the first one, 2 weeks before that, they said someone had called me. I guess it's from the service. Sometimes I don't know who calls me. If it's a lender, the title, and they just say, I'm calling about so-and-so order. But they said, we have to cancel it because the lender did not give us the documents. Okay.
Okay.
I tried to explain to the man. He thought it was me. Okay. Like I had something to do with it. Me that canceled it. I said, I'm just a messenger. Like when you go in a grocery store, right. I'm just a cashier. I'm just checking you out, that kind of thing. So, so he still had little faith in me. Okay. So here comes the date. I'm there at 8. They don't get all their stuff together, what they need to present to me until almost 9 o'clock. Okay. So I'm sitting in there getting my stuff ready. Okay. So then we start the thing, and it's the mother, the father, and their son, and all of the signers have, 3 to 4 names each to sign. And it's 247 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a planet who you never get on the phone with because they just don't answer the phones.
Uh-huh.
The day before the signing, I looked at the package and I said, this does not match. The closing disclosure does not match at all with bright red, the first page, what you say. This signer only, this borrower only needs to pay us $1,947.67. Closing disclosure said $3,949 something. And I'm emailing them, and they say they don't email me till I'm at the signing, and they said they should match, and that's the only thing I got. That was the only thing I got.
Right.
Further down in the package, it still says the same thing. They are only to pay $1,947 and whatever. So he's like, I don't understand what's going on. He's like little faith in this whole process, again.
Sure.
Because they were working 3 jobs each. They had to take off their jobs for this kind of thing. Okay. So I didn't get out of there till almost 2:30 because I'm still trying to get some answers on something. Okay. And then they were like, not understanding the wire. I did all the wire thing like they were talking about. We got everything filled out like we're supposed to. Then I get a call back 2 days later. No, it wasn't even a call. They never want to call me. They just want to email me back and forth. And they emailed me and they said, well, you're the notary who took care of it. they're supposed to give us 3,900, whatever. And I said, okay, I tried my best to get somebody to talk to me while I was there and for 5 hours and asking all this information. This is what he did. Well, I get in touch with the signer. The signer has gone to Mexico for 2 weeks. He tried to get everything done before he left. So it's what would you do? Because they're acting like, Olivia, you're the notary. You get this this money to get taken care of when you don't. And I'm thinking, so I'm over here wrapped up in this thing even more time. We're talking about days because I'm having to call the Mexico call drops. Then he's like, well, why can't they just go ahead and take it from my account? I'm like, this is what they say about. And he goes, now I'm understanding. It wasn't you that told me, because they said the notary was the one that had us the second time, the problem. And now they're saying, Olivia, you're the problem again. I was just laughing the whole time because I don't get it. But what would you do, Travis, in that kind of thing when they don't call? I even talked to the title and they said, oh, who's the lender? I said, Planet. She said, you will never get a call back from Planet. And she talked to someone and she said, I'm going to email the thing and I'm going to find out. And so she said, also, I'm going to tell them not to keep calling you because you're wrapped up in the thing again, and now I wasn't. And I don't even know if I'm going to get paid or not or whatever. But I was just trying to, because my heart goes out to the person that was told the wrong thing in the first place. They're out of country. Go ahead and tell me what you would do.
Yeah, no, good question. Contact title directly and be like, look, this is what happened. They're asking me to do all this stuff. This is what I did. They're crazy. Like, what do you want me to do? And have them advise you to make the move. I wouldn't even touch with Planet anymore. I would email them back. I'm like, look, I'm trying to come up with a resolution with you guys. You're spinning me in circles. I've already given you the situation. The resolutions and recommendations you are having are not lining up with the situation. Like, I'm done speaking with you, because the lender's really not going to do anything to your career. So I would reach out to the EO, keep your supporting information, all your emails in case it comes back to you, have your summary, like, look, and I would tell the EO, this is what's going on. They're out of their minds. I'm doing this. They're telling me to do this. It's not even making sense to the situation. Like, I cannot handle this anymore. I am willing to help, but I need some sound information to go by. I don't know what they want me to do, but I will be available. I just need firm information. You're going to get those situations. Like, it's going to happen. And like I said, stand your ground. And I would call title and be like, this is what's going on, in the most polite and professional way. I just say this metaphorically and to, make you guys laugh a little bit, but I'd pretty much tell them they're freaking crazy. I've been really patient with all this. I care that these people get in the home, refinance, whatever it may be. You tell me what you want me to do and I will do it. They're in Mexico. I can't do anything. Get the documents out there to get them e-signed if, can be. That's what they should be doing. But that's not your problem. That's sloppy work on the bank, and that will happen. So, it's not unusual. So I think you handled it right. Yeah, I'd call title and just like, what do you want me to do? Okay, so we got a few minutes left here. A couple more questions. I'm just going down the line here. Let me lower your hand. Dana Keller.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, maybe I just didn't click on lower your hand. That's okay. Okay, and Christina Pantel. It's the rest of your name. So I'm assuming you know who you are. What's up, Christina?
Hey, Travis. I have a question for you. So from a signing service perspective, I had an order that came through the other day and I accepted it.
Okay.
And I haven't done very many signings, right? And so I try obviously to get the loan docs as soon as I can so that I can review them and tag them and stuff like that. Yeah. And I heard everything that you said about, sometimes it's going to be completely out of everybody's control to get them to me, when I would like them. It's not going to happen, yeah. Right? Okay. So for context, this loan came from somebody that I've dealt with before. And when I was at the table with the client, I couldn't get a hold of these people to save my life, sure. To clarify, issues. Okay. And so I just, sent a nice email to the signing service and said, hey, is there any way that I can get, these docs as soon as possible? Because I want to ensure a flawless and great experience for the signer, right? And so right away, they were very helpful. They sent a message to Title, and basically Title responded and said, well, we'll have them 2 hours ahead of time. Okay. And I know that's the standard, right? You're lucky if you get 2 hours ahead of time. But here's the thing, right? And I know this is not their problem. This was my situation.
Okay.
Is this signing was for sure going to be probably over an hour away with traffic and construction and all that other stuff. And so I was concerned that they were going to send this to me. Signing was at 10 o'clock in the morning. I was concerned they were going to send it to me at 8, and I wasn't going to have sufficient time to review it, right? And the last I want is to get blackballed or get nasty notes, put on, these platforms saying, oh, she screwed this up, because I was rushed. Okay. So my question is, they immediately sent something back and said, hey, they said, they'll be posted within 2 hours. Is this still okay? And I clicked unassign. Okay. Now, granted, this was the day before, so they had plenty of time to reassign it. Do the signing services, look down on notaries that do that? Like, I understand if it was like the day of, they'd be like, oh, heck no, didn't. But it was like the day before.
Yeah, no, good question. It depends. And, I can't speak for every signing service, but if that were to happen to me, if you are in a big market, like, LA, big city, that's very populated, like whatever.
Houston.
Yeah, whatever. That's an easy reassignment. Like, especially if you canceled the day before, like I wouldn't think anything of it. I'd probably just, unassign, move on, because I don't have time to deal with, like, I don't want to blacklist and tarnish a notary's career. Like, I get it. I've been new before too, but if it were in a rural area, I'd be like calling that notary, like, look, what is your fee for this? Because for all you notaries in rural areas and as such, like, you have a lot of power. I'm going to tell you that right now. Like, with your fees, the timelines, it's a lot different out there than it is in a big city. But, they could have been upset, but whatever, they're probably going to forget about it in a couple of days and be on to the next thing. If you did that 3 hours before the signing, look, I'm not telling you guys to lie. Okay. But tell them you got other appointments. Like, look, this thing's at 10 a.m. It's 8 a.m. right now. I need docs because I've got an appointment after this, and it's not fair to those borrowers because I'm not, to my next appointment, and they should be reasonable about it, because that's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, I've got this notary who has a 12 o'clock appointment. We don't have documents yet. He or she's got another appointment after that one. Would I want that notary holding up my appointment if the, coin was reversed? Absolutely not. And, if docs are late, they're late. And, I know you guys have other schedules and as such, and I will call the borrowers and I'm like, hey, look, I got to get another notary. That notary that was assigned, she's got other schedules and as such. What kind of flexibility do you have with the signing time? Because, we need to look at it realistically, everybody. The signing service, the notary, Title, they need to be realistic about it. And trust me, I get an earful from some of our clients for, stuff like that. And I tell them, I'm like, look, they got lives and they got families to feed too. Okay. I can't have them held up forever because of this. This isn't their fault. I'll find another one. Let's work something out and they'll get over it, because, these incidents happen several times every day with Title and signing services. And once it's passed, next day, I'm not even going to remember something like that happened, So good question. There's not a set answer. I guess the situation, will dictate. But me, I'm super versed. I've got mobile printer scanning capabilities. Me personally, I would have hung in to the last second, like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just, I'll wait till next day. Just, let me know if you can't get them in an hour so I can keep the borrowers updated. And if they're continuing to be late, I would offer them. I'm like, look, I can't make this a signing anymore. I'll call the borrowers if they're willing to, work around my schedule for the day. I'll be happy to accommodate this. However, if you feel there is a different approach to it and you feel it would be better to get somebody else assigned, I'm okay with that either. So come up with solutions, but not every signing service is going to handle it, the same way, of course, because we're all different people. But, be realistic about it. Like, come on, doc's not up, signing's in an hour. I've got other appointments. Like, I've been transparent with you from this, from the beginning. I'm not going to be unreasonable about it. Like I got a notary today, got scheduled yesterday. Client said, I wasn't expecting to sign today. Can we do it Saturday? And he said, yeah, sure. Come 12 o'clock afternoon, still no documents, or still we had the documents, but the borrowers are not responding to them. And I've told my team, I'm like, look, reach out to them. Just tell them, hey, once you hear from the borrowers, let us know what time they can sign. If you cannot accommodate it anymore, that's perfectly fine. I don't want you hanging up your whole Saturday waiting on this stuff. That's not your fault, but at least let us know what time they can do it. And if you can't do it, I'll get somebody reassigned. And if it's, we can't get out there fast enough, I'll call the borrowers and be like, look, when can you sign? I need a 2-hour window. Let's get this going. So, me personally, I try to be, fair and reasonable about it.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, you betcha. And, and I'm not perfect either. I mean, there's some days there's one up in Washington. I will remember this one. And the instructions, it said hand deliver or something. And I was talking with her. I'm like, what do you mean? Da, 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 da. And I was really like going at it. I don't like cuss and swear or anything like that. And she said, Travis, you're kind of scaring me right now. And I go, you know what? You're right. I'm like, I apologize. I'm just having a bad day and I don't mean to, be humble about it. Like, and that's, I make mistakes like that too. Cause sometimes you're caught up in so much other riffraff, you're taking it out on somebody else and she didn't deserve that. And I apologize to her about that. Cause that, that wasn't her fault. So I don't see we have any other questions. If you do, now is the time to ask them. We will do more of these because, we want to do stuff to give you a scope of how it all works industry wide with all aspects of being the signing agent. Not, it's more about just knowing how to execute the documents, knowing how to do the job and knowing how to, schedule yourself and understand the industry. They are equally as important. So if you don't have any more questions, I appreciate you all, for attending today. We'll have more of this stuff. Anybody else before we part our ways here? And I got 45 minutes until, I probably got 3 hours until I'm either going to be happy or have my heart broken, whether the Suns win or lose tonight. So now's the time to ask. All right, you guys. So I'm going to cut it off. I really appreciate you attending today. If you have any follow-up questions, please email us. But, I'll leave it with this. Be a professional, 100%. Go all in, whether you do this part-time or full-time. This is all a reflection of you. So, be great, do great, outwork the competition. Let us know if you need anything. You all are wonderful, beautiful people. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see you folks at the next training.
Thank you, Travis.
All right. Have a good one. We're not doing the hand wave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.